Hello everyone. So when I was cleaning up my desk and putting things away, I was putting my threads away. And threads are something I've kept for quite a long time now. Different types of threads. Okay. And they have accumulated. These are embroidery threads. These are some thicker threads, and just like this one here maybe shouldn't be in there. They're just thicker threads, I think. It's this one here. Yeah, these are thicker. You know, sometimes if you were to rip a piece of fabric and you get the thicker yarns and things off them. That's another thicker one there as well. What else have we got? We've got this one, and these are more colourful. Some colourful threads. Sometimes a little bit of other things gets caught up in there. There's also some, that looks like a little bit of cheesecloth in there as well. And then there's this one that is just like, see, these are the latest ones. I was using grey in my journal, so they're all that's just an offcut of embroidery thread. I'll put that in the jar. These are machine threads that I cut off, and they do come in useful, but I've got so many of them. And you use them every so often, but it's not something I remember to grab. So I thought maybe today I can do something with them. So there's a really pretty pink one there too. There's all sorts in here, and they've accumulated over time. So I thought maybe I could do something with them. Those over there. And see, this is the thing. Look, these are all on my desk. These are little stitch things that I made ages ago. These are little flowers I made when I was doing the Sew for the Soul book. Sew for the Soul book? The one with Anne Brooks. These, I think, are from the Journal of Stitchery, just odds and ends left over. This is from a journal I made. These are just the offcuts and things from a journal I made. Not even little bits of washi tape just stuck there that, you know, I haven't used. And I end up with all this sort of thing. And then I've got this. This is left over. So I thought, you know, what is that? Okay, we have some little tags in there as well that I've made for some reason and haven't used or forgotten to use, which, you know, sometimes happens. What are they? They're just the bulb pin, sequin, pearl, bit of fabric, bit of paper, and a little bit of lace. So I thought today maybe I'll use some of this stuff and make some flowers or something. That might come in handy, so we'll leave that out. And I'm just playing. I don't know if this will ever, this video will ever be published or not. So we could start, we've got that. Oh my goodness, see, look, I've got tea bags, I've got cheesecloth here. This is in my drawer. A bag of buttons in here. All threaded. All threaded. I think these were going to go on my storage boxes, and I threaded them all to glue onto the storage boxes, and I got busy and they just never happened. Well, this is what happens everywhere. And I'm not the only one, I'm sure of that. So let's have a look what we can do. Okay, let's get a bit of fabric or something. doesn't have to be fancy fabric. Okay, we've got a bit of linen here. We can try one with a bit of linen. Look, see, there's another thread already. And this is what happens. I usually toss them somewhere like that, and then they end up in a little pile. Okay, let's get some fabric scissors, shall we? Don't want them too big. Might be able to get 4 pieces out of this. Don't know about that one, that's a bit frayed, we'll see. Might be a bit too big, a bit too small. We'll see. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just a circular shape is fine. Oh my goodness. Weirdest circles in the world, those ones, I think. Okay, don't think we'll save that for some other thing at some other time. Okay, so we have 3 now. It's a very wet day out there today, so I won't be going out. I normally go out on Sundays, but not today. It's far too wet on the roads. So if I can stay home, I will. Alright. I'll just make that one a little bit smaller. There we go. And now don't they look pretty, all the colours together? Let's have a little play. trying to get similar colours. There's a lot more pink in that one, see if I can get a bit of pink out. There. So what I was thinking is I just do that, kind of get them into a little ball or something, and put them in there like that, and then stitch around it and trap them in the middle and like a little flower. It's just a thought. I did something similar in my, what was it called? The 52 tags handmade. I'll show you. For one of the weeks, I think we had to use threads. This is the book I've made. I think did I change it a little bit? I can't remember. I think I did. See, I went back, and instead of having 3 to a page, I've changed it up and put a lot more onto a page like this. That way I could, there it is there, see? I put the threads on, I stab stitched them down, and then I've stitched a layer of tulle over the top, that one. So it's that idea that I'm thinking of. Yes, what did I do? Oh yeah, so it only goes to there, and so I've got all these pages left, and like, you know, I made some little flowers and things like that and put them in here. So it's almost like an ideas book as well. Anyway, that's getting off the thing. So I could do that, put it on there, and I'll probably, that would be a good idea to stab stitch it down as well, I think, because otherwise it's not going to be very well contained. And they would be good to use in journals. So let's try one. Like, you could do it like that, and you could put it on top if you wanted to. And I'm kind of thinking that might be nice because they're just more noticeable, aren't they? They're just, unless I use a different type of tool. Got this. Let's have a look. I just want to see what it looks like. It's more noticeable with the tool, but it keeps it in order. So like if you're just doing that, you might lose some of your, I don't know now, like that, or I actually like it like that. I do. I like it like that. Even if the circle is the worst circle in the world. I think I'm going to do it like that instead of underneath the tool. I think I'm just going to stab stitch it all down like that. What thread? What thread will I use? The thread doesn't have to be noticeable, so we got one around. Don't think so. I'll put everything away. Okay, so I can just use a sewing machine thread. Well, what I might do is double the thread. And then just start. And randomly just coming up and putting little stitches to hold the threads into place. And if threads pop out, then you just fold them back over. And this is something you could watch while you're watching a movie or a video or anything like that, which is probably what I will do. I'll put a video on and watch it while I'm doing the other ones. And if you weren't using it in a journal, you could add little beads to it as well. Like, I probably wouldn't do too much beading for journal because it would make it a bit lumpy and bumpy. But you could add sequins to it, which would be nice because they lay flat. So I'm just kind of going around the outer edge of it first. And then have a look what it looks like. Bring that back that way. See, that's the other side of it there. Ow, just got myself. Don't bleed. And then have a look. See if it needs anything else. You could even put a button in the center of it now if you wanted to. Let's have a look what that looks like. Nothing too big. It's a bit too small. Maybe, no, it's too big. You know, you could do something like that. A little button in the center. You know what would have been nice, now that I'm thinking about it? See, you could put little sequins on it as well, which would be really pretty. But I'm thinking, I mean, if I had a piece of fabric, where is it? Okay. See what's in here. I've got that, but that's not big enough. What's that? Oh, I love that fabric. Because it's green and pink. You could almost stitch this on as well. Some fabric behind it. Remember, just playing, seeing what happens, because sometimes when you start making one thing, you can come up with ideas for other things as well as you're playing. And I'm kind of between, well, I'm not between projects. I've got one on the go, but it's just I have to stop and start it, so I've just made a few journals in a row, so I kind of want to do something else. So let's have a look at that. We'll just finish that off behind. And I can come around now and cut that. Probably would have been a good idea to press it first. Like that. You have a nice little flower. There. Do I want a button on it, or do I want a few sequins in the middle? That might be pretty, because they lay nice and flat as well. So let me just have a look here. How many sequins I can dig up out of here, because this is where everything gets thrown. I have so many of these little dishes. One day I thought I might like to take them all out, put them in front of me and see what I can come up with them. And I mean, I've got some dishes with stuff in it from when I used to craft in my bedroom. And that's a few years now, isn't it? That's like, what's that, 4 or 5 years? Oh my goodness. Okay, so there's a couple of different types of sequins I could sew on. And just make a little, that might be pretty. Let's have a go at that, shall we? Can you hear the magpies? They're singing their song. Perhaps I shouldn't do it with a double thread. Yeah. No, I don't like it with the double thread. It's too obvious. Okay, like that in the center. Just gives enough something to say there's the center of the flower there. And they're not thick, so it can still be used in a journal or something. Doesn't matter. Needs pressing a little bit. I think the more you do of this sort of thing, the quicker it gets as well. This is like the prototype, isn't it? We all know the first time you do something, it takes a lot longer. There, just cut it a bit shorter than the fabric. I like that. Okay, I'll go ahead and do the other ones, and then I'll be back. So they're done. But I did two like that. But then when I came to do the third one, I forgot to put the tulle under the threads. So I ended up putting the tulle behind, and I really like that. So then I did another one like that as well. So I've got two like the original one and two like that as well for any upcoming project I decided to make. That one needs a bit of a press or squashing. So we'll put those to the side. But when I was doing that, I thought, you know, I might like to do some longer ones. So I've ripped a couple of... forgot I still had those out. We may or may not use some buttons. Okay. So I've ripped a couple of strips of that nice fabric, and these are the threads that came off. You know, when you rip something, you get these loose threads coming out. This is all the thread I got just off those two strips, which is lovely. So I thought I might do something with these. And along the same line, I've got a bit of this. I haven't got much of this one left. It's a nice wide tulle. I've got the fine one. Just let me see if I've got a wider one, because I quite like the look of that. Who would have thought tulle comes in so many different varieties? I've I've got this one. I think that's very similar. It's not exactly the same, but see how it's got a nice big, it's a nice, it's a circle. I must have been going to make something out of that at one stage. It has a nice openness to it. I've got some more in here as well. I think that's a very similar one. So pop that down there. And I just need to cut a couple of strips from this long enough. So I do that, fold it in half again. I can get a couple of strips. I don't want to waste, so that's not going to work. Okay, we'll go from about here. I want it so that I've got a bit popped out on either side, so about there. Let's try that. Plenty big enough by the look of it. Like that, a bit left over for something else. Okay. How am I going to do this one? Because the whole purpose is to use my threads, isn't it? Right, let's have a look what fabrics I've got here. I've just got scrap pieces of, you know, fabrics I've used at some stage. It's a nice, it's a bit bright, that one though, isn't it? That one's a bit more, it's very old cotton. That might be nice. It's got a few marks on it, so that doesn't matter. Okay. About there. Don't know where that fabric came from. It's very fine. That looks nice, doesn't it? You could use that, do that for an embellishment or something. Okay, so I only want a couple of really fine strips, so let's hope this tears all right. And once again, you end up with, oh no. Oh, hang on. No? I thought it was a special kind of fabric, but it's just old. And just, oh. Kind of has a roughness on one side, and I was just wondering if it was actually like an interfacing fabric, but I don't think it is. So I kind of want it like that, but I think what I'll do is just fray this other side out a bit. There we go. Like that. And once again, but I probably won't. Oh, I might keep them for something else. I've got to stop keeping every single thing because it gets ridiculous after a while. When you first start crafting and that, you do collect everything because you don't have them. But over the years, you know, you've got to sometimes say that's enough. Otherwise your room ends up too full. Same with paper, you know, you start off and you collect every tiny little scrap piece of paper and you just can't keep doing it. Okay, there we go. That one's a bit wide, isn't it? Let's just take some of that one off. It's so shabby, this one. I might have to trim it a little bit. It looks like it's got a beard. Be nice in a Christmas journal or something because it would look like fur. My goodness, that's really gritty. I wonder if that is. I think it's an old interfacing, but it's like so old that it doesn't have all the backing on it because it's kind of got a powdery feel to it on the back. It feels like there's sand on my mat now. Perhaps that's what it is. It's just there's not quite enough there for it to still work as interfacing. Isn't that nice the way that looks? I'll have to keep that in mind because that would be nice in a different kind of journal. Okay, and I didn't start making these for a particular journal, but as I'm making them, I'm thinking of journals to make, so that's always nice as well. Okay, I think I want to have this rather than straight in the middle. I might put it more towards the top like that, I think. It might just be a little bit nicer. Like that. Now what? I do like that, but it's too, you know, I want it to stand out a little bit more, so I can save that for something. I did take a few more sequins out of my bag in case I would have used them. Is that the one I used before? I think this is the one I used, isn't it? Got a nice greeny pink and grey tones. Got a lot of pink in this one, so I'll take a chunk of the pink out and some of the green as well. Some more green at the bottom here. Like that. I don't want too much grey in it. I don't mind a little bit, but I don't want too much. Trying to just tease it apart a little bit, that pink one. There. there as well. Okay. And there. That's actually embroidery thread, that one. Getting some more green. Okay, I think that will be fine. Hopefully it will be enough. And I'm just thinking I'll do the same sort of concept as that. So let's just mix it up a bit. And okay. Bit of paper. Don't want that. Alright, so that's looking okay, isn't it? So there we go. Okay, can you see that? Let's just move those over. Where am I going to put those? Over there. That's what they kind of look like. Let's see if I can bring one up closer for you. Like that. And then I'm just going to, I might have to pin them a bit, because as I pick it up to stitch it, it might get difficult. I might have to use little ones actually. Just to help things stay where they are. I will manipulate them a little bit with the needle as I'm stitching them on. And as I'm stitching them on, I think I might add a few sequins as well. Like that. See, that edge of the fabric is quite harsh there, and that's because that's the salvage. So I'm just going to kind of fluff it a bit at the end there. That's a bit better. Not quite so sharp. I'll have to do the same there as well, I think, because that's the salvage as well. There we go. That seems a bit better. So I have my machine thread here. I will just have it in a single thread because of the sequins. And of course you could add beads and things like that to it as well if you wanted to. But I don't particularly want to because I don't know where these will be used. If it was on the outer edge of a page in a journal or something, you could quite easily pop a few beads in there because it's right on the edge of the page. So what I'm going to do is stab stitch, and add sequins randomly in no particular way. Okay, let's put a sequin on. Didn't have a hole in that one that I could find anyway. And these are just clear sequins, but they've got like a slight, they're not white or anything like that, they're just clear. So, and then I'll just keep going, and every so often I'll add a sequin or two. Try and put quite a few. I can take that one out now. Little stitches, because otherwise the threads will fall off and we don't want that. You could glue if you didn't enjoy sewing, but I quite like some hand stitching. So that's what the back's looking like there. And I'll continue doing that and finish these off, and then I'll come back. Alright, well they are done, and I ended up cutting each long strip into 3 pieces because I realized that I was sewing them on continually, and if I had cut them I would lose my threads. So I've made them into, well, I don't know even, probably they're about 3.5 inches. I thought that was a good size for little bags or tuck spots or anything. And if I wanted to put it onto a page edge, I could always just glue 2 onto a page on or whatever I'm making. So I've done those, and I think they turned out quite pretty. They're rather whimsical, aren't they? Really, really pretty. I'm very pleased with those, and I was so pleased that I ended up making some out of a more neutral colour. I made some little flowers, and with these ones I've just glued a piece of glycine paper. I scrunched it up and glued that to the back of this. I've got the light cotton fabric, some tulle, light cotton fabric, some tulle, the threads, and then the sequins in the centre, and they will be lovely for a more neutral project. And then I also made some of these ones as well. As you can see, they're done pretty much the same. It's just the light cotton fabric, the tulle, the threads, and the sequins. So I made some of those ones. They'll be lovely in a more neutral project. So, And then just with the little offcuts from these ones, I made some little tiny ones as well, just the same concept, like that. And that took a little while, but it, you know, it was quite enjoyable, just sat here and stitching. I barely made a dent in all my threads, mind you, but I can feel much better about myself that I've actually used some. And I do use them, but I use them as I'm creating them. So it's going to take me a long time to get through the ones I've already saved. And I honestly, I use them as, like, if I'm stitching in a journal, the thread I'm using, if I want to use those threads, I'll use them as I'm making those threads. So I rarely have to come into these bags, so I don't think I'll be collecting them anymore. These ones, I thought, how lovely would they be to see these little pistol stitch flowers here on my pincushion? How lovely would it be to, you know, once it's on the project, to stitch some little flowers onto those as well. Very whimsical, I thought they'd be lovely in either a cottage or a floral journal, or, listen to what I'm saying, a fairy journal. It keeps coming to me, so obviously I'm at some stage going to start this fairy journal, because that's all I was thinking about while I was making these, when they just turned out so very pretty. I really am quite happy with them, and very simple to make, So there you go. I hope you've enjoyed this little tutorial, and I hope you'll try some yourself. Like I said, they don't take much time, and all you need is your scraps, because that's basically what all of this is. They're just odds and ends of things. So in whatever colour you want to use. So take care, everybody.